The untold truth about Subhash Chandra Bose is far more fascinating than what our history books tell us. Born in 1897 in Cuttack, British India, Bose was destined to become one of India's most controversial freedom fighters. While Gandhi preached nonviolence, Bose believed that freedom could only be achieved through military action. "Give me blood, and I shall give you freedom." These words defined his revolutionary approach. What most people don't know is that Bose actually passed the prestigious Indian Civil Service examination in England, securing fourth place. He could have lived a comfortable life as a high-ranking British official, but he resigned in 1921 to join India's independence movement. That's the kind of patriot he was, willing to sacrifice personal comfort for national freedom. His journey took a dramatic turn in 1941 when he escaped house arrest in Calcutta. Disguised as a Pashtun insurance agent named Mohammad Ziauddin, he traveled through Afghanistan and the Soviet Union to eventually reach Nazi Germany. This daring escape was planned with such precision that British intelligence couldn't track him for months. In Germany, Bose met Hitler, hoping to secure support for India's independence. Though Hitler was reluctant to fully back Indian independence, Bose managed to form the Indian Legion from Indian prisoners of war, captured by Germany. But what's truly remarkable is what came next. In 1943, Bose traveled by submarine, yes, a German U-boat, from Germany to Japanese-controlled territory, transferring mid-journey to a Japanese submarine in a dangerous maneuver off the coast of Madagascar. This 90-day underwater journey remains one of the most daring wartime travels ever undertaken by a political leader. In Southeast Asia, Bose reorganized the Indian National Army, INA, with Japanese support. The INA included men and women from all religions and castes, a truly secular force fighting for India's freedom. The women's regiment, named the Rani of Jhansi Regiment after the famous warrior queen, was revolutionary for its time. These women weren't just symbolic figures, they underwent the same rigorous military training as male soldiers. What's often overlooked is Bose's progressive social vision. He advocated for women's rights, religious harmony, and economic equality decades before these became mainstream ideas in India. His provisional government, the Azad Hind government, declared war on Britain and America in 1943, the only Indian government to ever do so. The INA's advance into India through Burma was initially successful, with Bose raising the Indian flag in Morang, Manipur, the first time the flag of independent India flew on continental Indian soil. But military setbacks and Japan's deteriorating position in the war eventually forced a retreat. Then came the mysterious plane crash in Taiwan on August 18, 1945. The official story claims Bose died from third-degree burns after his overloaded Japanese military plane crashed shortly after takeoff. But this account has been disputed for decades. No photographs of his body exist, no autopsy was performed, and his ashes, supposedly kept at Rinpoche Temple in Tokyo, have never been DNA tested. Multiple commissions have investigated his death with conflicting conclusions. The Mukherjee Commission in 2005 actually concluded that the plane crash never happened, and that Bose did not die in Taiwan. This has fueled numerous theories: that he escaped to the Soviet Union, that he returned to India as a sadhu named Gumnami Baba, or that he was secretly imprisoned. What's undeniable is the impact Bose had on British rule in India. The INA trials of 1945, where captured INA officers were court-martialed, sparked massive public outrage across India. Naval mutinies broke out in Bombay, and unrest spread throughout the armed forces, the very backbone of British control in India. Lord Clement Attlee, who was British Prime Minister when India gained independence, later admitted that it was the threat of mutiny in the British Indian forces, inspired by Bose's INA, that was a major factor in Britain's decision to leave India. Yet, after independence, Bose's legacy was somewhat sidelined in official narratives. His radical approach didn't fit neatly into the non-violent independence story that became dominant. His socialist economic views and authoritarian leadership style during wartime made him a complex figure for post-independence politicians to embrace fully. Declassified intelligence files have revealed that the British considered Bose more dangerous than Gandhi or Nehru. They monitored his activities extensively, with hundreds of intelligence officers dedicated to tracking his movements. Even after independence, Bose's family was under surveillance by Indian intelligence agencies until the 1970s, suggesting concerns about his continuing influence. Perhaps most intriguing are the 100 classified files about Bose that the Indian government kept secret for decades. When some were finally declassified in 2016, they revealed that successive Indian governments had monitored Bose's family members and intercepted their mail, suggesting an official unease about his legacy. Bose's vision for India was radically different from what eventually emerged. He envisioned a socialist state with strong central planning, religious harmony enforced by law, and women's equality as a founding principle. Whether this would have succeeded remains one of history's great what-ifs. The truth about Subhash Chandra Bose isn't just about whether he survived that plane crash. It's about acknowledging that India's path to freedom wasn't just through nonviolence, but also through the blood and sacrifice of revolutionary fighters. It's about recognizing that the threat of armed resistance, which Bose embodied, was as crucial to ending British rule as civil disobedience. As we look back at this enigmatic freedom fighter, perhaps the greatest untold truth is that history is rarely as simple as our textbooks make it seem. Bose's story reminds us that nations are born not just through one path, but through multiple struggles, sometimes contradictory, but ultimately converging toward freedom.